Ross?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And again, Mazel Tov to Naomi. May she have a lot of nachas from this baby and all the others. And may we all have nachas from all the kindlach in Klal Yisrael. So I'm going to start off with a story, a mashal, and you'll see exactly where I'm going. There was a king, and this king went on a journey with his son through the desert. And after a few hours, the little boy started to cry that he's very thirsty. So the first set of officers said, "Oh, Your Majesty, we will take our horses and we will try to find the closest village to find water." The second group of officers said, "Your Majesty, how about if we dig a hole in the desert until we find a well, and then we will be able to give your son something to drink." And the king thought about it for a moment and he said, "Okay, the second group of officers start digging." And they dig and they dig and they dig 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. They finally find a well of water. And at every point that they got to as they traveled, this is what the king's officers did for the king and his son. So the little boy looked at him and he said, "Dad, Your Highness, Majesty, whatever he called him, why did you do that? It would have been so much simpler had you just sent your officers to the other village or to find the closest village to get water." So listen to what he said. He said, "Yes, that's true. But you see, my son, you're going to take this route again. You're going to travel on this route again, you and many others, and you're going to be thirsty. And the other travelers are going to be thirsty too, and they're going to look for water. But now we know that there are wells at different points in this journey on this road." So the little boy says, "Yeah, but Dad, throughout the years in a desert, the wind is going to blow the sand and it's going to cover up all the holes and all the wells." He says, "Yes, my son, very smart words, but that's why we're going to create a map. We're going to create a map, and in the map, we're going to have the exact points of where the well is. And with that map, we're also going to have instructions how to get to the well, how to remove whatever is on top of that well, and to get into the water of the well." Each chag, everything in our lives, all our chagim, all our Shabbosos, are referred to as moadim, appointed times. They are called in the Torah mikra'e kodesh, callings of holiness. Each chag gives us the opportunity to tap into that well. We are on a journey. We travel. All year we travel. And at certain points of our year, we stop. An appointed time, it's the calling to holiness. And we stop at that well. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us instructions how to open up the well. The spiritual resources that well holds. Each chag is a point in our journey through time, and it is all mapped out for us with the instructions how to attain it. Pesach, when we are looking for the resource of freedom, God tells us, what are the tools? We look at our instruction book and we see the chametz, the matzah, the seder, the haggadah, the arba kosos. Come Shavuos, we're looking for wisdom. We open up our map. We open up our instructions. How do we get it? Learning Torah, doing whatever we do on Shavuos, eating cheesecake. Yom Kippur comes the time when we're searching to do tshuva. We look at our instruction book. It tells us, fast, pray, each thing. Rosh Hashanah. Oh, I need to anoint the king again. How do I do it? Open up the instruction book. through the shofar. And these are constant needs of the soul. Each year, it's a little bit different, depending on our growth, depending where we are. It could be a little bit deeper, a little bit more. And Hashem has given us the instruction book. The Torah comes from the word hora'ah, to teach. These instructions are there how to access the waters. So, this Shabbos is Parshas HaChodesh, the Shabbos that comes before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. What resources are we tapping into? Nisan is the month of budding, the month of blooming, blossoming. Some even say there's a big machlokes that on Tishrei, HaKadosh Baruch Hu thought about creating the world, and on Nisan, he created the world. This is the month where a nation was reborn. We became a nation. The first mitzvah that Hashem gives the Jews when they leave Mitzrayim, as they become a nation, is HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. This month is yours. You have the ability now to look at the moon and declare the new moon, and then every single holiday in that month. That's called Kiddush Halavana, to sanctify the moon. And we know we have many, many different questions. Rashi asks the famous question. He quotes Rabbi Yitzchak in the beginning of Bereshis. Why does the Torah start off with creation? If the Torah is a book of mitzvos and laws and regulations and rules, start off with the Chodesh Hazelachem. And of course, he gets all his answers. Ramban says, no, you have to understand. It's about emunah. It's about understanding who created the world. And Rashi gives a very simple answer. He says, Koach ma'asav higil lamo, that when people come and they're going to look at the Jews and they say, you're robbers. You stole the land. You stole it all. So all we have to do is look and say, no, Hashem created the world. Hashem created the land, and he gives it to whomever he wants to and takes it away. But the Sifsei Chaim goes deeper, because remember, the Torah is a pardes. Pardes is a gan. Pei is pshat. Reish is remez. Dalet is drash. Samach is sod. There's many, many deeper explanations. The Sifsei Chaim says there were two beginnings, two creations, so to speak. He uses the word hanhagos. The first was from creation until Yetzias Mitzrayim. The world existed only through the chesed of Hashem. After that was the second beginning, from HaChodesh Hazelachem, from now, Rosh Chodesh, Nisan, until Matan Torah. What is Hashem saying? Very different now. Now you're going to be partners with me. The bracha in this world is now dependent on your actions. HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. Hashem was saying, no longer are you powerless slaves. Slaves have no control over their time. Now you are infinitely powerful. You are powerful people, almost to the point that you just have to look up to the moon and understand what you can reach. No longer will others define your destiny. You have the ability to control your time. Your time will be your own. Recognize that responsibility. As free men, Hashem was telling them, as he tells us, use it wisely. We look at our chagim, we look at our lives. It's all about time. As women, we're always counting. We bring in Shabbos and Yontif, it has to be a specific time. Davening mincha before shkia, after shkia, right? Zman kriyat shema, 60 minutes, 72 minutes. It's all about time. Gaining control of our time makes us free because we choose to use our time with quality and significance. So Vaichik says there's 3 dimensions of time. There's retrospection, there's anticipation, and then there's appreciation. Retrospection is the ability to re-experience the past, to transport the past into a creative living experience. We do that on Pesach. B'chol dor v'dor, chayav adam l'ros es atzmo ki'ilu hu yetza mitzrayim. Every generation, a man is obligated to look, to feel, to act as if he himself has left Mitzrayim. That's actually our preparation now, to actually feel like we're leaving our own Mitzrayim. We're cleaning out our chametz. Anticipation is man's vision, his aspirations into the future, right? Know where we are going. Understand your mission. And of course, appreciation. Embracing the present as a present, as a precious possession. The present is really a gift. We as Jews learn to merge the past, the present, and the future in all moments of our lives. In Sefer Dvarim, in Parsha Zazinu, the pasuk says it. It says, Zechor Yemos Olam, remember the days of old, Binu Shnos Dor V'Dor, understand the years of the generations before you. Sha'al Avicha v'yigetcha, ask your father and he will tell you. Zikentcha v'yamrulecha, all the elders will also tell you. Meaning, great sages, teachers, heroes, parents, grandparents, great-great-grandparents, they're not simply figures of the past. They're actually advisors of the present. That's where the whole idea of minhagim comes from. Pesach is the holiday where we actually attach ourselves to the minhagim of the old, of our grandparents, our great-grandparents. Many times when you speak to people and you tell them or you hear what they do and what they don't do and you say, where's that from? I don't know. I saw my mother do it. I saw my grandmother do it. She told me my great-grandmother do it. I saw my father do it. I saw my grandfather do it. That's taking the past, putting it into the future, into the present, and giving it over to the children for the future. Hashem took Moshe outside and he showed him precisely the different phases of the moon. I lost you. Okay, you have me now? Yeah, the different phases of the moon. Exactly, precisely. So the question the Maharal asks, what's with the fascination of this moon? We are the moon. Hashem is the sun. The moon changes. The moon gets small, then it looks like it disappears. It looks like it disappears. It never disappears. And then it gets bigger again. And the moon gets its light from the sun. The sun is Hashem, like it says, like Shlomo Melech says, Ein chadash tachas Hashemesh. Hashem is all powerful. There is no change. It's consistent. But the moon is different. The moon represents his chachos. What does that mean? Renewal, rebirth, actually hope, optimism, change, growth. The moon really reflects our journey of our lives. We Jews have gone through all the phases of the moon, collectively, individually, in our history, our past history, and even our present, right? Tolstoy even wrote about it, that he couldn't understand the nitzchias of the Jew. It always reminds me of that little toy that we had when my kids were little. It was a punching bag. The punching bag was from here, as big as a person with a person's face, and you would punch the thing down and it would come back up. I remember giving it to one of my sons who didn't like another son, and I would tell him, every time you want to beat him up, just beat up on this punching bag. That's what we Jews are. We Jews are the moon. We go through changes. We get smaller. It looks like we disappear, but we don't. And then we get bigger. It represents, like I said, our journey in our life. It represents our ups and our downs. But what's Hashem telling us? HaChodesh hazeh lachem. Meaning, it's all yours. The concept, the tool to open up that well of change, of growth, of renewal is yours. It's in your hands. There's a halacha that tells us that after 30 days, if you don't see a friend, after 30 days, you may be able to say a bracha. Not so sure that we hold from that now. But there's a halacha. Why? Because 30 days creates shichacha. Shichacha means forgetfulness. So what happens is, during the month, we begin to forget. We forget who we are. We forget where we came from. We forget who's above us. We forget where we're going. We forget who's really running the world. We forget who's in charge. We start looking at things as coincidence. And all of a sudden, here comes Rosh Chodesh. And there's hischatshus. There's renewal. We throw away all the old views, the old thoughts, the old habits, and we start again. Kiddush Levana. Listen to what it could mean. To be mekadesh those phases of the moon. When the moon is full, when the moon is small, when the moon looks like it's not there, but the moon is always there. It gets its life from Hashem. To be mekadesh those phases. Meaning what? How am I? How do I react? How do I confront those times? When the moon is full, when the moon is small, and when the moon looks like it disappears. It's my job to be mekadesh, the phases of that moon. The first mitzvah was given to a new nation. A nation that was now reborn in a month of renewal. Change is not easy. Growth is not easy, but it's ours, and we can do it. We may just have to dig a little deeper. This week is the end of Sefer Shmos. Shmos is the names, the essence of our neshama and who we are. Starts with the counting, starts with the Gullus, ends with the Geula, and then the last Parsha is about the Mishkan and the Jewish people's travelings in the Midbar by the Anan, the cloud, and with the Mishkan. It's very interesting that when you look at the Mishkan, it sort of reminds you of the moon. This Mishkan was portable. When they camped, they put the Mishkan back up. When they traveled. When they camped, they dismantled it. No, the opposite. Sorry. When they journeyed, they dismantled the Mishkan. When they camped, they put the Mishkan back together again, like Humpty Dumpty, lahavdil. And every time they got up to journey, they took apart the Mishkan. And every time they camped, they put the Mishkan back together again. It's symbolic of Bnei Israel. It was symbolic of the moon. The Jew is a wanderer, right? The Jew is the moon. At times, the Mishkan was taken apart, and at times, the Mishkan was put back together again. Same with us. Same with our lives. Sometimes we're dismantled, and sometimes we're put back together again. But we continue to travel. We move on. We are a people that never disappears. We never stop traveling. We continue. And we can never stop growing. And we can never become old, stale, and complacent. Rashi comments on the last pasuk in this Parsha that he says that even their resting places were considered a journey. That to me was an amazing Rashi, because we ask ourselves, how are we mekadesh that time when we're at rest, when things seem good, when we can say, whoa, Baruch Hashem, right? That's why that person we told us to jot down in a journal all the things that we're grateful for. So I'm going to finish up with an article that I found, and it ties in beautifully to everything that we just spoke about. And we will understand exactly what resources we need to tap into this Shabbos. When we travel on a long journey, there are many road signs. There's street lights, there's gas stations, and rest stops along the way. Sometimes we travel by day, other times we travel at night. At times there may be fog and mist, and at times the road is clear. Occasionally we travel along a busy road. Other times that road is deserted. There are easier routes, and then there's difficult ones. If we're not sure which way to go, we sometimes ask for directions, or we follow another driver who's heading in the same destination, or we may choose a map to guide us. Many of the other travelers we pass or meet are headed in entirely different direction. There are some people whom we meet only at road junctions, traffic lights, or for a short interval at a rest station. On our journey of life, we've traveled along roads we never expected to take. Still, there have always been clear road signs, beacons of light, at night, the moon, and places to stop to rest and recharge. We have been fortunate, for Hashem has ensured that there were always other travelers who helped us find our way, even when the road was foggy or misty. Some of those people are traveling a similar route. Others have once traveled this route, and there's still others who, although they are not going in the same direction as we are, they have rolled down their windows to give us guidance and instructions. We met some of these travelers at rest stations. There were others we spoke to or met for a little short time. Some were already longtime faithful friends. Some became our new friends. So many just knew when to send us a kind message or a warm word of encouragement. Many of these people are not even aware that the maps they provided us with, the books, the tapes, the svarim, instilled us with emunah and direction. That's the journey of our year, with our appointed times, our mikra'ei kodesh, our mo'adim, our calls to holiness. That's what Hashem mapped out for us, our chagim, the journey of the moon, the pit stops, the rest areas, the wrong turns, the wrong roads. But in the end, we know that the journey of life leads us to greatness, and the moon becomes full, and we know how to be mekadesh, that levana, and it leads to our own personal redemption. And in Yirtzeh Hashem, it will lead to our collective redemption. May you have a wonderful Shabbos and a wonderful Chodesh. May you feel and sense and taste the well of his chachos that's in the air. Look outside. I see the tree in front of my house begin to blossom. I jumped for joy. I heard the birds. I saw the budding of a tulip. Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem. Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos.